face. He's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Look, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing Sloot too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I already heard yesterday that he's got no shot to win the Cy Young because it's going to Skubal again. Skubal's winning the Cy Young. No shot for free.
They're both terrific. They both have incredible numbers and credentials and stats and strikeouts and ERA and everything, like every single category. Freed is right there with him.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 2, bright and early live right here on this Wednesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. 2 more hours to go up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. A second hour with a ton to discuss around the National Football League. Some other football headlines, including in the collegiate ranks. A lot being said this week in Destin, Florida at those SEC spring meetings. OTAs happening around the NFL. And, of course, we will get you set for game number 5 tonight in Oklahoma City. The Thunder needing just one more win to get back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2012. Will the Thunder pull off the gentleman's sweep against the Minnesota Timberwolves and make the Western Conference Finals a rather quick one? We shall discuss here in this second hour, and plenty of football hot topics as well.
You know what I like to hear early in the morning before football season really gets cranked up? We're going to be adding more playoff teams to the roster here with more opportunities for expansion. Absolutely tremendous. We're finally getting where we need to be, and the SEC is going to lead the way to make sure we get more SEC teams in because it is the best conference in college football. We want to see better teams playing more meaningful games late in the season, and we're going to get that. So we'll get to 12s, we'll get to 16, soon we'll be at 24, and hopefully, just like exactly what I'm saying, like we're on our way. We're marching up for it. Like Division III football, close to 32. 32 teams get in? We're almost there, people. You hold on. Your boy predicted this just a couple years ago. We are getting there. Just hold tight. We'll get there.
I'm not going to yell, really, because I don't need to raise my heart rate, but let me just throw out a blanket statement. Anything my co-host Donnie Rightside says about the future expansion of the college football playoff, I will vehemently disagree with. Let's talk more around the National Football League, DRS, and of course, after Terry Bradshaw calls the Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers a joke. Mason Rudolph was at OTAs yesterday saying it is nice to be wanted. Is he really? I made my point that it's a joke that anybody believes that Aaron Rodgers could be a savior for the Steelers, although I'm not really sure that is the consensus belief. 41 years old, 20 years in the National Football League, rather mediocre quarterback play as we have seen his last even fully healthy seasons in the NFL. Donnie, we know what the standard is for Mike Tomlin and the Steelers in his 18 seasons as the head man in in Pittsburgh. 18 years, never fewer than 8 wins, never a losing record, even qualifying for the AFC postseason with a rotating cast and crew at the quarterback spot 4 of the previous 5 years. The Steelers will enter 2025 with a win total of 8.5. The under has the hefty juice. If/when Pittsburgh adds Aaron Rodgers as its quarterback, I said it doesn't move the needle for me. Does it change your outlook on the Steelers at all?
Oh, yeah, they'll be a better team than with what they have in Mason Rudolph. But also, like, is there a way, like, FanDuel Canada, like, can you actually bet this? Because here's what I'm weighing here at this point right now. Because, you know, we don't have great embedded reporters on the Aaron Rodgers situation because he's not even embedded, like, with his family. Like, nobody talks to Aaron Rodgers. Nobody knows what the guy's actually even thinking at this point. So we don't get that insight, like, oh, he's eventually going to join him. We know he's joining him because 2 things would happen. If Aaron Rodgers came out to us, like, you know what, my heart's just not in it. So now what you can do is, you know, the Rooney family, you fire Omar Khan immediately and you move on from Mike Tomlin and say, you guys just wasted our time saying we had a quarterback on the line. Now we're going to actually play a season with Mason Rudolph. Yeah, this isn't working anymore at this point because that's how big this decision is. And there's no reason to believe he's not coming because they didn't prepare for it. Like the Steelers offseason, they could tell you whatever they want. Hey, behind closed doors, we know what's going on. Love Mason. If Mason starts, it'd be such a great season. Everybody knows that is a fallacy. So you're putting all your hands and all your eggs, I should say, in the basket here of Aaron Rodgers. And if he does the sign because he's a quirky guy, I'm just not in it. It just doesn't work out. But here's what I want to see, though. Like, we're talking about, like, oh, well, he's eventually going to join him. Is it going to be around the draft? We don't know. Maybe he needs a little more time here. Is he going to join us? Like, you have to be there for OT. You're a new quarterback in a new system with a new team, and you're just going to show up around training camp? Like, even if he shows up, I don't know what the next OTA is going to be, late June at this point? Like, you're going to give him all that time off. Hey, meet your teammates, and away we go into the season. Nothing makes sense here. And as I continue to point out, if Aaron Rodgers at the end of last football season, the minute free agency started, goes, I want to probably be with Minnesota. They told him no. Flirt with the Giants a little bit. It's probably not going to work. Yeah. And the Steelers are my last resort if I want to play meaningful football on a quality football team that I at least think I can be above 500, and you slow play this out, it makes no sense. If he joined the Steelers 2 months ago, like, you know what? Maybe I could be talked into buying into the Steelers, making a playoff run here. But the fact that he's just delaying it is, what's the holdup? And I can't wait for this, Ben, too. Please show me the details when he signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers of what the financials are. I want to see how crazy the Steelers are or how much more money they actually had to talk him into over the past month and a half to actually get him to play. That's what I want to see. Because if he shows up in the Steelers and goes, you know what? It's a 1-year deal. Maybe it's going to be a year 2, $11 million. Like, ooh, that's really interesting. But if he gets one of those 2-year, $75 million contracts with 40 to 45 guaranteed, that's when we're going to start to laugh at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Russell Wilson deal, DRS, 1 year with a guaranteed $10.5 million, but based on incentives and salary pay, Russell Wilson can receive north of $20 million for the New York Giants, and he might not even be the starting quarterback by the end of the year for the G-Men. That will be really interesting for a guy in Aaron Rodgers who says he doesn't need to play for a ton of money anymore. But we'll see exactly how that looks. And Donnie, Aaron Rodgers can continue what the standard has been for the Steelers. They can go over 8.5 wins and not and avoid a losing record. They can even reach the postseason if they go 10-7 in a wild card spot around the AFC. But the idea that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy to change the narrative around the Steelers now, who have not won a playoff game since 2016, more than likely not going to happen. So even if Aaron Rodgers is there and the Steelers are successful, Pittsburgh fans will not be happy because they have seen this one too many times and now need to get back to a franchise that used to be known for Lombardi trophies, not just 500 records or better. All right, DRS, elsewhere around the National Football League OTAs, Kirk Cousins did not show up yesterday for the Atlanta Falcons at OTAs. Again, that's not overly shocking by any means, as Kirk Cousins was demoted at the end of last season and is now officially listed as the backup quarterback in Atlanta. But because of the name, the fact that Cousins was not there allows us to ask a lot of questions, like, are the Falcons looking to trade him? What might the moves be this offseason? Does it matter in your mind, DRS, that Kirk Cousins was not at OTAs for the Dirty Birds yesterday?
No, it's odd to put the circumstances around it. But let's understand one thing. Kirk Cousins has used the salary cap and salary cap conditions to his advantage, maybe better than any player in NFL history. But you watch Kirk Cousins as a human being, it's like, does he even spend his money? Like drive an old van, he shops at Kohl's, like the everyman casual. They even showed like his house, just a normal house, when you could have an absolute mansion on top of 50 acres wherever you want. The reason I bring this up is the one thing that gets athletes demoralized is, look, I was brought in to be a starter. I'm a high-paid athlete. I've always been a starter. Hey, Kirk, we don't necessarily want you, but you make a lot of money. We're going to try to move you here, but understand this. If you're on this football team, you have absolutely no chance to play. Like Michael Penix is our guy. Like that's tough to sell. Like, yes, you want to be a professional. You want to work every day. You want to be like, you know what? Let the best man win. When even if Kirk Cousins is the best man, he's not going to play above Michael Penix. So you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And also, you don't want to cause distractions. Remember when the Green Bay Packers had Aaron Rodgers and also Brett Favre, when they're like, hey, Aaron is our starter, and Favre goes, coming up from Mississippi right now, I'm going to be your starting quarterback. And they shipped him within hours to the New York Jets because that was going to cause a commotion. Maybe he has to come into camp and take the microphone back and be like, you know what? I am the starter here in Atlanta. Maybe that will move them to cut him immediately. He's just playing the nice guy right now.
We'll talk a little bit more about Kirk Cousins in his contract situation, if he could even be on a different NFL team by the start of next season. Plenty more NFL headlines up next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Kirk Cousins did not show up for Falcons OTAs yesterday. Will Kirk Cousins be playing his football even as a backup for the Dirty Birds in 2025? It has been the question, DRS, since he was demoted at the end of last season. There is no doubt the starting quarterback in Atlanta, that is Michael Penix Jr., about to enter his second year. The conversation, though, around Cousins, because of the large contract that he signed with Atlanta last offseason, 4 years, $180 million with $100 million guaranteed, is he even a movable commodity right now for Atlanta? If he were to be cut with a post-June 1st designation, probably would have already happened. That would be a $50 million cap hit for the Falcons in 2025. If he were to be traded with a post-June 1st designation, DRS, still a cap hit, though, that is hefty for Atlanta, $12.5 million. It is the contract, I think, holding up any movement for Kirk Cousins this offseason.
It is. And again, it's one of those contracts you're not supposed to be cutting this early in the contract. The future was supposed to be Kirk Cousins for a few years, not for a few games. And the fact that they compounded it by saying, okay, we're going to get Penix, but now we have, Kirk Cousins. We don't even know if Kirk Cousins is healthy. Turns out he wasn't healthy, but not the original injury. It was a new injury. It's been a complete mess, which is why you're just supposed to break ties with it. Understand as an organization, we messed up. We shouldn't have signed him, but we do have a quarterback on a rookie deal that's cheap, so it sort of makes up for it if we cut him loose here and get him out of town. Because the one thing other teams understand is you will cut this guy. We are not trading and picking up any bits of Kirk Cousins' contract. If you cut him, then we can sign him to a Russell Wilson type deal, 1 year, $8 million instead of taking on $50 or $60 million in contracts here. And that's what Atlanta doesn't seem to figure out. And don't you even remember like the song and dance when, I forget whenever the new league year started, like, hey, they're going to keep him. It's going to cost them a lot of money. That shows their willingness that they will keep on the roster. And everybody around the NFL still laughed at that notion. Like, no, you are not. It doesn't make sense to have him on the roster at any cost at this point because two things happen. You have to eat the money. You're going to understand that. But also, Michael Penix is your future. If he goes through a rough patch, we don't need the cat calls. Well, we got to put Kirk Cousins back in there. No, this is Michael Penix's team to either sink or swim at this point, and Kirk Cousins plays no bearing into it. Now, will other teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come calling here and say, we want to play, but we need a veteran guy, that's more down the line. We always knew one thing. The Falcons messed up that draft. They messed up the contract with Kirk Cousins, and then they're trying to act like they did everything exactly the way it was planned, and this is working perfectly, and we're happy to have a $50 to $60 million backup quarterback. Nonsense. We're not buying it.
Completely agree, DRS, and that is the story. That is why those two decisions in harmony never exactly made sense, and of course not living in harmony right now. If you sign Kirk Cousins and he is bad and he looks old, you wasted a ton of money, even though you have drafted his replacement in Michael Penix Jr. If Kirk Cousins was great, you would never know what you had in Penix Jr. by the time you needed to make your decision on his future in your franchise. That future, of course, for Michael Penix Jr. is now. And I think the only good thing for Atlanta, DRS, is some talent on the roster around the quarterback position for Michael Penix Jr., a good draft this time around in 2025, and maybe most importantly, how bad the NFC South is expected to be once again in 2025. The win total for Atlanta is 7.5, but to make the playoffs, plus 146, and to win the division, plus 230. How high are you on Atlanta entering this season?
I'm not high on them. And again, they're telling you the tail right there at 7.5. Now, granted, some of these teams are going to play a competitiveness, like the Philadelphia Eagles and the rest of the NFC East. I mean, they have a tough schedule going through it, but also you're only looking at your division itself. Is Tampa the best team in the division? Probably so. But you have a New Orleans team that's going through a tough time here with the salary cap, new head coach, don't really know who the quarterback is going to be. And then the Carolina Panthers, you're hoping take the next leap, but that's certainly a big hope. I still put the Atlanta Falcons above the Carolina Panthers entering into the season, which gives you a legitimate chance because you are looking at the playoffs at a plus 146 price. 7 teams do make it, and maybe they can win 8 or 9 games and be in the mix. But then you see the NFC South title. It's only a plus 230, which shows they'll be in that divisional race the entire season, probably going toe-to-toe with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it does make some sense. I'm not high on them. Even if they make the playoffs, I don't think they're going to do much damage. Your only goal this year for Atlanta is, again, lose Kirk Cousins, find out about Michael Penix, and then move forward into the future.
Yeah, completely agree, DRS. The over has the juice of that win total at 7 and a hook at minus 135. We have talked about the difficult slates for all teams in the highly competitive NFC North. Very much a similar picture in the NFC East. In the NFC South, DRS, all 4 teams in this division, 4 of the 10 easiest schedules based on projected win totals for 2025's NFL campaign. Another guy not at OTAs yesterday in Buffalo, or at least Western New York, that was James Cook. He did not show up for the Buffalo Bills, entering the 4th and final year of his rookie contract following a career season in 2024 with the Bills, in which he led all of the National Football League with 16 regular season rushing touchdowns. James Cook had a career year last year in Western New York, looking for a new deal, entering the final year of his rookie contract. Did not show up at OTAs yesterday.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, too, because the Buffalo Bills are one of those teams that should be able to take a step this year, a very favorable schedule, maybe get home field advantage and try it again with one of the more electric quarterbacks in the National Football League. You always look at this, and it is a negotiation. We get that because we don't know what each side is saying, because the one thing I do know is the Buffalo Bills are saying, hey, James Cook, you're going to be part of our future, but it can't be part of our future at the expense of our future, if that makes sense, with how much money we might have to give you. Let's meet halfway, because you might be looking at James Cook saying, did you see the contracts that have just been sent out here and re-ups here? Christian McCaffrey in the last couple of years, Saquon Barkley, now Derrick Henry. I had 16 touchdowns last year. I'm back-to-back over 1,000 yards. I'm a key component to the success of this football team. I want my money. And also, as we opened up the show talking about him not showing up, saying, well, running backs in the past weren't getting paid. They are getting paid now. Nobody, even as, more importantly, as a running back, wants to go into your final season without financial security moving forward. They'll get this done, because why? It would be stupid not to get this done when the Bills still have that window open for a hopeful Super Bowl run.
I think it's really well said, DRS, and very well summed up. A couple of years ago, this might be, a little bit dicey. Who did Buffalo draft? Can they sign anybody to kind of be that stopgap at the running back position? Yeah. Different story now, though, when it comes to running back salaries and contracts in the NFL. Will he see the historic numbers of a Saquon Barkley, a Christian McCaffrey, heck, even Derrick Henry north of 30 years old? Probably not. Is he going to get a good payday? Absolutely so. Could it look like the 4-year, $48 million deal Josh Jacobs signed last year with Green Bay? Yeah. I think something of the sort. More football headlines up next on the Early Line.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
And if you go through CAT, that means CAT at 11-1. Could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing Sloot too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I actually like the fact that they went 7 games against a quality opponent here and still had to face adversity even in a game number 7. How are we setting up this next series where they rested Minnesota Timberwolves team taking on OKC fresh from the fight here?
They had an extremely, maybe it's just too strong a statement to say, easier pathway than people thought, particularly because of their size.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play. every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
More NFL headlines here on this Wednesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid DRS. We are reaching the stage as OTAs rolls around after rookie minicamp. You're getting a lot of those contracts signed by the first rounders that were selected at the end of April. However, one contract that is still outstanding, that would be Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, drafted in the first round by the Cincinnati Bengals, who need all of the defensive help they can get. But yet they have not signed Stewart just yet. Stewart and his representation still in a disagreement with the Bengals front office over specific wording in that rookie deal that would not maybe cover guaranteed future injuries. So Shamar Stewart remains unsigned with Cincinnati. Of course, the Bengals have a lot to still figure out this offseason on the defensive side of the football.
Like, can we get the answers on what the language is in the contract? Because when we talk about the Bengals, and I bring it up repeatedly, like they're one of the cheapest franchises out there. Like, is it just like, hey, you know what, you're coming in for OTAs, we're not going to give you an expense on the cab from like the airport, or you're going to have to pay for your socks, and Nike hasn't come through with your cleats yet. Can you buy them and maybe down the line we'll reimburse you to see if that makes a lot of sense? You're like, what is the actual holdup here? Because it is hilarious that this team needs all the talent it needs on defense, but yet Trey Hendrickson, who can lead the NFL in sacks, we're like, dude, we're not even going to pick up the phone and return your phone call. And they say, okay, well, we're going to draft your replacement, and then tell the replacement, man, you got to buy your own pants, cleats, jerseys, and helmet here to come around. Like, what are we actually doing for sin? Just for one? Can we just be a professional franchise? Like, can we not have all in the family in the front office here? Can we just act with a modicum of respect to the NFL and the players and just say, this contract is printed out of a printer. Everybody in the first round gets the same language. The Bengals like, I don't like that language here. Don't like that language here. You'll come in under our terms. How about some harmony to enter into a season where we're not worried about people getting paid? All we're worried about is winning a Super Bowl. We can't have nice things in Cincinnati, apparently.
Via reports, DRS, from both Pro Football Talk and other NFL sources, Cincinnati reportedly wants to include a phrase in the contract for Shamar Stewart that causes a default in the current year to trigger a default in all remaining years. Of course, that would have to deal with injuries and things of that like. PFT also reports that this phrase is not included in the rookie contract signed by offensive tackles Amarius Mims, who was the Bengals' first-round pick a season ago. So I think it is protections and guarantees, of course, from a financial perspective, in case of the worst-case scenario, of course, that being a dramatic injury.
It's fantastic, right? Hey, so I'm going to work out or I'm going to get injured, but you don't want to pay me if I do get injured. That's setting the relationship off on an absolutely tremendous foot at this point. And again, you're fighting over things that aren't, this is supposed to be easy. It used to be in the past, you had to come to an agreement with a first round pick. They could ask for the moon and the stars, and maybe there was a holdout. Yeah. But the fact that the NFL is like, look, we're going to slot the first round and all throughout the draft where you know where you're getting picked, you know what the money is, you know what that language is. Very easy for the general manager, the ownership group, and the agent to just come to an agreement over dinner. That's signed, sealed, and delivered. And the fact that they're harping over something so ridiculous at this point, where it's like, hey, well, we drafted you, but maybe there's something to your knee, and if you hurt that knee, we don't want to pay anymore. What is this? Isn't it a family? Like, you're drafted into the Bengals family, they're going to take care of you, and it seems like they want to hold you hostage. Come on now. Enough.
Yeah, DRS, it is a really good point about slotted rookie contracts and a lot of the verbiage in those rookie deals that is pretty standard across the board based on where you are selected. First round deals, second through seventh round deals, all of that good stuff. But a difference here for Cincinnati, causing the 17th overall pick this previous April in Shamar Stewart to still be on the sideline and not participating in on-field workouts at this moment as he remains unsigned. I really want to bet the Bengals at plus 900 to win the AFC Championship, but until Trey Hendrickson is signed, and I guess now maybe Shamar Stewart, I can't buy in to Cincinnati. DRS, should we talk about the EA Sports College Football 2026 cover that was released yesterday? With its two cover stars on that generic cover, the standard edition being Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams and Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith.
I mean, come on now. Wide receivers
Come on,
run
Big
the
Day.
world. We understand that. You don't need quarterbacks. You don't need running backs. You don't need DBs. You don't need coaches on it. You just need the two best wide receivers in the country showing out for their schools right now. I can get down with that cover, no doubt about it.
Now, I think if there was an EA Sports College Football 1999 D3 edition,
game breakers.
Donnie Rightside would have been on that bad boy, no doubt about it. You know that DRS loved NFL Street. Is that true?
Oh, man. No, and we didn't like NFL Street. And NCAA Game Breakers was the game back in the late 1990s in college football. You're running the triple option with Nebraska. Get out of town.
Come on now.
What a game that was.
Is Tommy the quarterback? Tommy Frazier?
Tommy's the quarterback. Thunder, little Thunder Collins back there. Lawrence Phillips. Yeah.
Buy or sell, Devers will be traded this season. Let's also not forget that there's $300 million on the table due to Devers, which eliminates him from, what would you say, like 17 teams?
Oh, I would think more than 17, maybe 27. Oh, that's a joke. But how many teams could afford him? All right, 5, 6. How many teams need a third baseman who can't play third base? You know, how many people want to deal with his attitude? He hasn't come off looking good at any of this. Whether you believe he should have anyway, he doesn't look good at this. Will he be traded? No, he won't be traded. The salary alone makes it highly unlikely. He's a great hitter. All right, no doubt he can hit. But other than that, there's too many between the money and the attitude and no really position for him here. He's not getting dealt anytime soon.
Buy or sell, if the season ended today, Hunter Brown would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Hunter Brown has been fantastic. All right, the guy that Craig's teasing, by the way, is Tariq Skubal of the Detroit Tigers here, who's certainly right up there with them. Max Fried for the Yankees has had a fantastic season. They finally lost a start where he pitched it against Seattle the other day. They'd won every start. He's been fantastic. The season ended today with Hunter Brown winning the American Cy Young Award. I certainly couldn't argue it if he did. That being said, he's going up against Skubal, who won it last year, going up against Fried of the Yankees. My guess is that he'll need a year. You understand what I'm saying? He needs a year before he can get that kind of recognition if he's tied with somebody. If he's clearly ahead, then I think he would win here. But as of right now, would he win it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it would be probably Max Fried.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Only on SportsGrid.
Our first series-clinching potential spot tonight in the conference finals round of the NBA postseason. The number one seed in the Western Conference, perhaps the prince that was promised this time around in the postseason, the Oklahoma City Thunder, at home in Game 5, needing one more win to get back to the NBA Championship Series, the NBA Finals, for the first time in more than a decade since 2012. DRS game number 5 tonight of the Western Conference Finals. OKC has the 3-1 series advantage and is now back at home. The Thunder, an 8.5-point favorite against the Minnesota Timberwolves with a total currently standing at 220.5. We'll dive deep into this game, DRS, but those numbers right there, pretty resolute and pretty strong with the idea that OKC wins the Western Conference crown tonight and advances to the NBA Finals. Do you agree with the strength in those numbers?
Let me just use this. Ready? Closing time. One last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer. Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. That's what Minnesota's going to be told tonight. It really is. And it's a shame because as people in the sports business, we want to see rounds get extended. We want exciting game 6s. We want exciting game 7s. We want to have more things to talk about, not less things to talk about. I've been having fun with the Minnesota Timberwolves because they're a fun team. Anthony Edwards is out there. You love to see that. OKC, we've talked about them the entire season. Where couldn't they match up? Well, the regular season isn't the same as the playoffs, and they can't win those big games, and we'll certainly test them. They've won a game number 7. They've closed out multiple teams here, looking to do it again. Now, the question is, we're not asking you, will OKC win this game? Because that's money line. That's minus 350. Most people are like, hey, are we going to get a competitive game or even a chance for a game number 6? I don't think that's going to be the question tonight. I do expect a good effort from Minnesota, but sometimes you just understand you're not going to win that series. And when does the bottom fall out, right? Because this is different. Like, we're talking about the Knicks tomorrow. The Knicks are heading back to the Garden in front of their fans. Like, you know what? If we're going to, damn it, get up for one game, we're getting up for this game. You're going to OKC, which OKC can smell blood in the water. We're going back to the finals, and we're the better team. Completely different circumstances. Can you see this game play out close? Sure you can. But also, can you see this play out where SGA is on the bench in the third quarter when they're up 39 points? I'm not saying we're headed for a 40-point win, but boy, oh boy, when one team realizes, you know what, it's just a fait accompli, we can't win this series, and it gets ugly, we might be getting that tonight with OKC.
And I think that is the question, DRS, right? Not the idea the Thunder win this outright to win this series in a gentleman's sweep in only 5 games, advancing to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2012 when Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden were residing in Oklahoma City in, of course, the furthest stage that this group, led by head coach Mark Daigneault, and, of course, the MVP winner now in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, have realized. There was a lot of promise. Now it is that pedigree and the potential that OKC is capitalizing on in this playoff run. So the question then becomes, how competitive does game number 5 look tonight? And Donnie, that's been a question for OKC throughout this playoff run. Not just a second-round series against Denver that went to 7 games, a Thunder team that was not just a 68-14 team in the regular season, best outright record, but also the best covered team in the association, the only team covering in more than 61% of their games. They have been booked as a favorite in all but 3 of their contests this year, and they were the only team covering north of 65% of those games. But here in the playoffs, it has not always been an easy ride for Oklahoma City. They are just 6-9 against the spread, booked as at least a 3-point favorite in every single game, all 15 throughout this playoff run. But in the first 2, this time around, DRS against Minnesota, in the games in Oklahoma City at home, the Thunder have won by at least 15 points, covering as a 7.5, 8, and now an 8.5-point favorite entering Game 5 tonight.
Yeah, and here's what you like about it, too. FanDuel Sportsbook here in New Jersey, Ben, opened this line at 8.5 for Oklahoma City, and it still sits at 8.5 today, and just about every other outlet is showing the 8.5s. That total, 220 is the opening number, shifting a little bit higher to 220.5. It'll be interesting to see where this goes at game time, because I do think the reason we don't have a ton of movement is I think that line sits appropriate. Like, if I'm saying, you know, which way is this going to go? Forget about which way the public's going to come in. More likely to me that this goes to 8 as opposed to 9, just because that, you know, hey, double digits, I'll take them, a last stand effort. I get it. And Minnesota, for most parts, has been competitive in this series, you say. But it's such a hard gauge. Again, at home, Minnesota Timberwolves, even if the Timberwolves are getting 3 or 4 at home, like, you know what? Last stand at home, home crowd, they're going to get up for this. The fact that you're on the road and that avalanche is waiting, because if you don't get off to a good start for Minnesota, it certainly is going to turn against you. So the tide with the crowd and just, you know, the waves coming at you and SGA and all that good stuff. So for me, I look at that and say, I think it's going to get closer to 8. I want to take the points because I want to be competitive, but I sort of know better at this point. It just feels like this is closing time for OKC.
Completely agree, DRS. 58% of the overall volume of bets backing Minnesota to keep this game at least close within that 8.5-point margin. But then a slight odds and betting stats disparity. 54% of the money on the spread is backing Oklahoma City as the favorite at home, even laying that lofty number of 8.5 points. How about the total? 220 and a hook. The last 3 games in this series have skied to the over. The only game that stayed under, game number 1 in OKC, in the 26-point win for the Thunder, in which Minnesota was pretty porous offensively, only scoring 88 points. If we both believe OKC wins tonight, and there's a pretty good chance they cover it, at least win this game comfortably, what does that mean for our total of 220 and a hook?
Yeah, it's again later in the series, which didn't work last night. Like the Pacers and the Knicks really got after it right off the bat. I mean, scored 1 million points in the first quarter. I think this might have the ability to stay under. So if I'm looking at from a perspective, let me just bring up to see if I can find the team props here. All right, because I want to look at the total team away points would be 106.5. That's the number I would look at more than any total and say, okay, if you look at the home team, which is obviously OKC, it's 114.5. There is a way that Minnesota can win this and stay under, which means that you played a good defensive effort. You know, the offense just wasn't there. But that 106 to me, if I'm playing anything, it's probably going to be an under on the Minnesota Timberwolves team total, that 106, because they can win and lose at that number. But I just don't know if we get that free-flowing game. The thing that we looked at last night, there was no closeout scenario. Like if the Knicks lost and or the Pacers lost, you were still getting extended. You don't have that with Minnesota. So just mindset coming into the game. How are we going to win it? Hey, let's just throw caution to the wind and get into a track meet with OKC. No, it's take care of the basketball, make your open shots, don't force things. Unless it's a 2-on-1 fast break, pull it back out. Let's run an offensive set and not give up an easy bucket the other way. If we just say, you know what, fast break one way, fast break the other way. I just don't see it. So that 106.5 I look at as a total in this game. I actually like it to the under from Minnesota here.
I think it's a really good angle of attack, DRS, for this game and what could be that more lopsided tilt in favor of OKC. Again, game number 4, only a 2-point win for the Thunder. Minnesota covered even as a 3-point home dog. But the Timberwolves' last lead of the game came around the 6:57 mark in the opening quarter. It was all OKC from that point. The Thunder are a minus 7,000 favorite to win the Western Conference crown. Again, we don't think that's up for debate at this moment. To win in 5, to pull off the gentleman's sweep, minus 355 in the series odds, at least on FanDuel. Our lovely sponsor updated money line at this moment, minus 370. So if for some reason you just want the Thunder outright, you could look at that price to win in 5 games as opposed to the money line number. And DRS, there is no doubt about it. If Minnesota is going to stay in this game, if Minnesota is going to keep their season afloat, they need a combined effort out of Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards like they saw in game number 3, and certainly not what was on display in game number 4. 16 points for Ant, only 5 for Randle, a combined 21. Anthony Edwards points prop tonight, 26 and a hook.
Yeah, he's got to get over that. You need your stars to shine in the biggest moments, and I still talk about the same, points here. Brunson last night scored 31 points. He wasn't going out with a 17-point effort in a loss. Anthony Edwards, we talk about, does he want to be the face of the league? I don't want that pressure on me. Well, understand this. You're never going to be the face of the league when you're in a closeout game and you shy away from it and shoot 11 times from the field and score 16 points. You got to put it on your shoulders, man. You need a monster game if you want to stay in this.
We'll break down the player props for Game 5 later. MLB previews next.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
If you believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, there's, let's let him wait another 2 years. Wait, he's already dead at this point. What are you waiting for another 2 to 3 years? He's either in or he's out. And sometimes you look at that too, Tom. It's you can't tell, the history of Major League Baseball without Pete Rose.
Frankly, the writers have some standard that they want to hold players to, which seems to fluctuate on a player-to-player basis. So he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not sure how quickly he'll get there.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
I'm not saying this thing is scripted, but damn it, they put those 2 teams on the first weekend of the basketball season for a reason, because they were expecting some kind of fireworks. They got it. Did Angela Reese overreact? Probably. Did Caitlin Clark have to stare it down? Probably not. There's enough blame to go both sides. But guess who doesn't care? That's the WNBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A full Wednesday slate around Major League Baseball. We've got 15 games, 8 of them in the afternoon hours where that stadium is located. A ton of day baseball on this Wednesday, and a huge divisional duel this week in the NL East continues tonight in Philadelphia. It's the Phils and the Braves. Yesterday, Ranger Suarez on the bump, blanking Atlanta. The Braves did not record a run. They were shut out. The Phils take the opener by a score of 2-0. Could we see something similar tonight with the Phillies ace on the mound in Philadelphia, that being Zach Wheeler? Philadelphia booked as a minus 154 home money line favorite. Yesterday, DRS, only 2 total runs scored, and yet the total was 9. Today, that total down to 7 and a hook. What do you like for game number 2 between these familiar foes?
Hey, if anybody out there's ever listened to the Howard Stern show, you know, the famous character Beetlejuice and the Whack Pack, Ben, how about this one? Hey, Atlanta, what are you going to do tonight? Nothing. Hanging out. That's what you're going to do against Zach Wheeler. He's going to set you up and sit you down tonight. Here's the issue. This game's not even going to be played, though. It is a terrible rainy forecast tonight in Philadelphia, and maybe a much-needed break here for the Atlanta Braves that are going to get Zach Wheeler on the mound, whether it's today or tomorrow. But you look at Zach Wheeler, he's been nothing short of spectacular. If Ranger Suarez went there and laid waste to that lineup, way to get a hold of Zach Wheeler. Like, what's the best effort out of the Braves tonight? 6 innings, and maybe you scrape together 2 runs at this point? That certainly doesn't hold up. Now, the question's going to be on the Phillies side. A.J. Smith-Shawver is an okay pitcher. He's had a decent season here. That's a good Phillies lineup. But is Bryce Harper going to be back in this lineup tonight? Right. Or is he going to miss a day with the contusion to the elbow that he took the pitch off yesterday, which, thank goodness, the x-rays for Phillies fans and Phillies backers came up negative here. The Phillies are the better team. How much you want to lay? That's interesting. But also understand this too, Ben. If we do have a game underway tonight, and you have Zach Wheeler, and that's the reason why you bet the Philadelphia Phillies, and you play 2 innings, and there's a 45-minute rain delay, and he doesn't come out. Now it's bullpen on bullpen. You lost your advantage in that game. So for me, it is a stay away. If it was bright and sunny and nice tonight at the start of the game, you know what? Zach Wheeler's going to win this game, and the Phillies will go away, and I'll take that price point. But the fact that there's rain in the forecast where I don't think it's going to play, and if it does, I might lose Zach Wheeler, I'm not interested in this game at all.
The Titans have the best record in the National League, 35-19, a game and a half better than anybody else, including in their own division. That would be the New York Mets. A game and a half lead for Philadelphia, minus 110, the price for the Phils to win the National League East title. Of course, Atlanta maybe not even focused on the division, placed on fork watch on this Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. The Braves, 3 games sub 500, 25-28, just trying to be a playoff team by the end of 2025. 34-21, the record for the Mets, and 2 other teams around the NL tied for second best. The Chicago Cubs in the National League Central, and the World Series favorites, the LA Dodgers. 34-21, victorious in each of their first 2 games so far this week in Cleveland, seeking a sweep with some afternoon baseball in the land against the Guardians. Clayton Kershaw gets the nod for Dave Roberts and LA. The Dodgers booked as greater than $1.50 favorite on that money line. DRS, did you check the number on Shohei Ohtani to go yard once again? Plus
might as well.
190 for a guy that has hit a home run in 3 consecutive games and has 20 dingers this year, the most in Major League Baseball.
Rain in the forecast again as we sit here in late May. Temperatures in the 50s with a light wind blowing out to left field. We'll see if this game, we're expected to play it. But again, we're just not getting the opportunity where you love RBI, you love home runs here of getting that through. Now, Clayton Kershaw hasn't been good by any stretch so far in the Major League Baseball season. But once again, he's only faced 26 total batters. The one thing they have to like about that for Kershaw's side is the Cleveland Guardians haven't really shown up over the past month, Ben, against left-handed pitchers. The only positives there, Jose Ramirez, who's a switch hitter, he'll be batting from the right-hand side. But everybody else really not in love with what they're providing right now, which is never a good thing when you're facing the Los Angeles Dodgers. Kobe Allard on the mound is who I'm showing here. Only 69 batters that he's faced on the season. Has done very well ISO and weighted on base percentage-wise, but a low K rate at that point, tends to get you in trouble. The Dodgers should win this game, even with Clayton Kershaw on the mound. Yeah. But again, cool temperatures, rain in the forecast, just not advantageous to get a clean look. Two pitchers that can be hit. I just wish we had some better conditions, so maybe Cleveland could show up with a couple runs here as well today.
DRS, the offense for LA, at least in this midweek set against the Guardians, has not been wanting for anything, plating 7 runs in the opener, 9 runs yesterday in the 9-5 win. It's funny, Shohei Ohtani, 3 consecutive games with a home run, as we have shared. He has only had 1 base hit in each of those 3 games. It just happened to be a very long one that has flown over the wall. More day baseball today in Detroit. Better weather in the Motor City? My guess would be maybe not great. The Tigers, an ever so slight home favorite, -116 against the San Francisco Giants. The Tigers have taken each of the first 2 games in this midweek set, DRS, by the same exact final score, 3-1. A little bit stronger of a favorite now at -116 than you see on your screen. Total is 8. What's the weather look like today in Motown?
I mean, the chances as the game goes on, more rain creeps into the forecast. But again, we're in the 50s with a double-digit wind blowing in from right field. So again, you're saying to yourself, all right, well, Landon Raup has been a decent pitcher on the season so far. Struggles a little bit lately with left-handed batters. Oh, that's perfect, right? Kerry Carpenter, Cole Keith, Riley Green in that lineup, they should be able to do some damage. But again, hitting into the teeth of the wind, not necessarily a great thing. Those balls that are getting hit to the wall, it's like, no, could have been 3 or 4 seats back. It's a home run, turns into an out at that point. So it's almost like a no-go for me looking at offensive statistics. But then Jackson Jobe on the other side, not a great pitcher by himself. Struggles against left-handed batters. You're going to have multiple left-handed batters, but not a great lineup here for the San Francisco Giants entering in this game the same way we talked about it yesterday. Elliot Ramos has good statistics. Willie Adames has good statistics, but they're also right-handed batters. This game should have the tendency to go over with these 2 pitchers on the mound matching up to these lineups, which, again, I don't like from a San Francisco side, but just having those weather conditions, cold with maybe rain creeping in, I always have this as well because Major League Baseball understands the task at hand. It is a business. The last thing you want to do is start this baseball game and have it play for 7 hours with multiple rain delays, which means the umpires behind the plate, that's usually a ball. That's a strike today, boys. So I take the under 8 in this game, knowing that they have to get this in before the rain creeps in, and they'll try to get it done as fast as possible.
Best record in Major League Baseball, that still remains the Detroit Tigers at 36-20. The victory yesterday, DRS, 3-1, but some bad news. Matt Vierling, who is having a great year at the dish for Detroit, placed on the IL with a shoulder issue. Wencel Perez, though, making his MLB debut in 2025 for Detroit, or at least his season debut this season for the Tigers yesterday, did hit a home run in his first at-bat of the year. More about the Bigs up next.
He's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. The face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
And if they go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I already heard yesterday that he's got no shot to win the Cy Young because it's going to Scooble again. Scooble's winning the Cy Young. No shot for free.
They're both terrific. They both have incredible numbers and credentials and stats and strikeouts and ERA and everything, like every single category. Fried is right there with him.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
A quick correction for something that one of the hosts, not going to name names, said on the early line in our last segment, that Matt Vierling back on the IL for Detroit. Not exactly having the greatest season. He's only played in 4 games. He's only had 11 at-bats, but tough injury news for the Tigers nonetheless. Again, not going to point fingers at who made that critical mistake here on this Wednesday morning on TEL. It is Skins Day 35 in the history of Major League Baseball. Out in Arizona, the Pirates taking on the D-backs. A 3:41 p.m. Eastern time start. That's some afternoon baseball in downtown Phoenix. Zach Gallen gets the start for Arizona. On the other side, of course, it is Paul Skeens. Not often, DRS, you see Paul Skeens get a start for Pittsburgh and the Buccos not be booked as the favorites, even on the road. The nod goes to Gallen and the Diamondbacks today. Minus 134, that updated money line price, a total of 7.5. What can we expect from Paul Skeens? What can we expect in this matchup out in the desert?
That is a low number at 7.5, but isn't it warranted, right? Like, as long as somebody has a pulse opposite Paul Skeens, you're probably getting an under because that lineup can't hit. Like Oneil Cruz against right-handed right-handed pitchers over the past 30 days, he's been great. A 245 ISO and a 399 weighted on base percentage. But outside of that, you don't get anything back. And if you take a look at Zach Gallen looking to regain that form, he's been filthy against left-handed batters, which in the lineup tonight is Cruz, is Reynolds, is Horowitz, is Frazier. So at least 4 of those guys will be lefties. The question is, can some of those right-handed bats start to break through? And nobody in that lineup from the right side actually peaks my Henry Davis with a 343 weighted on base percentage, only 22 at bats, batting 9th in the lineup is supposed to scare me. Now, we always like the Arizona lineup all the way through, regardless of lefty or righty pitching. There's a lot of talent there, but you're getting one of the most, if not the most talented pitcher in Major League Baseball that doesn't have to worry about pitching in 62-degree weather. He's going to be in a dome out there on the West Coast, full gas probably for 7 total innings. I don't see this game getting to 8 runs, and it's not the fault of these lineups. You have 2 good pitchers, one lineup that is horrendous, and one lineup that's hoping to just wait Paul Skeens out. That's how I see it today. I don't know if we get to 8 runs. It would be a surprise if we did.
3-5, the record for Skeens this year with a 2.36 ERA. Of course, they have had to already address potential speculation around a trade for Paul Skeens. They have said they are not interested in doing so at this moment. DRS yesterday for the Pittsburgh Pirates in Arizona after losing the opener and getting shut out. No surprise once again. The Buccos scored 9 runs. That was their most in a single game since April 22nd. Over a month since the Pirates scored 9 runs. And I believe, as I'm doing a quick check here, no, they did score 10 back in the middle of April, but that ties their second highest run output of the year with 9 runs plated yesterday. Let's head to Tampa, DRS. We're the only other team at 500 in the American League East, not named the New York Yankees, resides right now. The Rays in a matchup today with some, I believe, afternoon baseball, indeed, against the Minnesota Twins, minus 112 as a slight pick'em-ish favorite against the Twins. Pablo Lopez on the bump for Minnesota. Drew Rasmussen on the other side for Tampa. Total stands at 8. What's the play in the rubber match today in Tampa?
It's a shame, too, because you look at that 8 and say, oh, what's that, bad weather? No, it's 91 degrees at first pitch. These are games that the Major League Baseball worries about, but you have to have getaway games. And if it's in a dome, it doesn't matter. If it's at night, it's a little bit cooler, but this is an afternoon game, roasting, and also double-digit winds blowing out to center field. Here's the issue, though, if you want runs. Pablo Lopez, coming into his last 30 days, been 114 batters he's faced. How about an ISO of 0.87 and a weighted on-base percentage of 236 and a K rate of 30%? You take a look at him in some analytical numbers. How about an 80 xFIP minus and an xFIP of 3.25 on the season?
Yeah.
Now you flip it over and have Rasmussen, maybe not a household name, and he's getting touched up a bit by lefties over the past 30 days, but on his season, Ben, how about an 86 xFIP minus, and you take a look at his overall production here on the season of a 128 ISO against and a 272 weighted on base percentage. But as I said, leaking a little bit here over the past 30 days, which then puts me back in and saying, all right, can I get a pick-em price or right around a plus price here on Minnesota? That's probably the way I would lean because the better pitcher. And also, if I'm looking for a single RBI prop in this game, or maybe two of them, I'm looking for the left-hand side for Minnesota today. Trevor Larnach, a 183 ISO power number to weighted on base percentage of 352 over his last 30 days against right-handed pitching. But how about former Philly and former great son of Roger Clemens, Cody Clemens? 50 at-bats against right-handed pitching over the past month, Ben. How about a 422 ISO and a 487 weighted on base percentage? Maybe a chance for a home run out of Larnach or Clemens today, but no doubt one of those two guys probably getting an RBI in the heat and humidity down in Tampa.
The rubber match today in Tampa. Again, the Twins on May 2nd, 13-20. They then rattled off 13 consecutive wins. They are now 30-24, 17-4 since May 2nd. Hour number 3 up next.